Last time Christian Alfonso Rodriguez saw his mother, she made him chocolate atole. They shared lunch together, talked about his studies, his future. Neither one of them knew it would be their final meal together. Welcome to Culturally Curious Kitchen, where we explore the world country by country, one dish, one culture, one story at a time. In each episode, we'll visit a different country, cook a traditional dish, and share the stories of communities who preserve culture and memories through food, even in the face of loss. Today, we're traveling to Mexico, where I first learned about this story from students at a protest while I was in San Cristobal de la Casa. They were demanding the return of the missing students from Ayotzinapa Rural Teachers College. Food creates connection and preserves memories. And today, we'll connect with Mexican culture and honor the students from Ayotzinapa as we prepare mole and discuss what happened on September 26, 2014. Let's begin. Ayotzinapa Rural Teachers College is a historic institution that trains teachers for rural and marginalized communities. The college preserves and promotes indigenous culture and education. Students here have a long history of community activism, regularly participating in protests for social justice and educational reform. On September 26, 2014, 43 male students from Ayotzinapa disappeared after being abducted in Iguala, Guerrero, Mexico. The students were traveling to Mexico City to commemorate the anniversary of the 1968 Tlatelolco massacre. They had commandeered several buses for the journey, following a long-standing student tradition. Local police, however, set up roadblocks, opened fire, and rounded up the students, forcing them into police vehicles. Multiple investigations have been opened into their disappearance, but most of the students have never been found. As of 2025, only 3 students' remains have been identified and their deaths confirmed. These weren't just students, they were young men training to become teachers and advocates for their own communities. Their disappearance represents not only personal tragedy, but the loss of future educators who would have served Mexico's most vulnerable populations. Let me start by roasting these fresh poblano peppers over the flame until the skin chars and blister. It'll give it a smoky, in-depth flavor, almost like dried chilies. And while they're charring, let me tell you about 3 young men whose stories we're honoring today. Alexander Mora was 19 years old. His father, Ezekiel, remembers how Alexander dreamed of becoming a sports teacher. He wanted to give back to his community, to help young people like himself. Alexander was the first of the missing students whose remains were found. George Tzapa was 20 years old. His mother Hilda describes her son as humorous, considerate, sociable. definitely a young man full of life and laughter. Seemed like he was the life of the party. And Christian Rodriguez. The last time his mother saw him, she made him chocolate atole. They shared lunch together. They discussed his classes, his studies, his future. Unfortunately, neither one of them knew it would be their last time together. Now that we're finished roasting these peppers, I'm going to take them and put them in a bowl and cover them and let them sweat out so we can peel the skin off of them. While these peppers rest and cool down so I can peel them off, I'll add onions, peppers, tomatoes, and garlic. I'll let these char and get a nice smokiness to them as well. Charring these are important because it adds depth to it. It adds flavor to the dish. Very much like these students added depth to their communities. While these continue charring, I'll peel the skin off the poblano peppers. As I peel these poblano peppers, preparing them to be blended, I don't know, I think about how these three young men were traveling to honor history and their own stories were cut short. Let's check on our vegetables. Okay, while these cool down, let's blend the peppers. I'm blending the peeled poblanos with the chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. This forms the heart of our mole. As I blend this, I think about these 43 young men, and I truly believe that each one of them, with a heart and soul of their family and of their community. And here I'm blending the tomatoes and roasted onions and garlic and all of those spices that we toasted. As I add the chocolate to this mole, I think of Christian sharing that chocolate atole with his mother. In Mexican culture, chocolate isn't just sweetness, it's connection, memory, tradition. So the mole's done and it looks amazing. And it's time to plate. And as I plate this, I'm reminded that food carries our stories when words aren't enough. The families of the missing 43 students, of those 43 young men, don't just cook to nourish their bodies, they cook to keep their son's dream alive. They cook so that they can have enough energy to continue to fight and demand answers. I I can't imagine what they're going through. I truly can't. And I pray that wherever they are still making their son's favorite meal in their memory and in their honor. Let's eat. Not sure how this is going to taste. Okay. Wow. Wow. That's really good. I'm going to be real transparent here. This mole was harder than I thought to make. There were a lot of mistakes, uh, a lot of frustration, and there was a big part of me that just, in the midst of the process, wanted to throw in a towel and give up. Pat myself on the back and say I tried. But I remembered I wasn't doing this for myself. I made this mole in honor of the 43 young men from Ayotzinapa Rural Teachers College and their families and their continued fight for justice. And so it was worth it to see it through. I've experienced loss myself in many ways. Not in the same way these families have, but loss nonetheless. And so part of me understands their pain. It reminds me of watching my aunt spiral into depression after losing her daughter, her best friend. Losing a child changes a parent forever, especially when you don't know what happened to them and you don't have answers. I could never imagine truly what these families are navigating and struggling with day in and day out. But I stand in deep empathy with them as I made this meal in honor of their sons and in their memory. I hope that one day each family gets an answer about what happened to their child, what happened to their brother, what happened to their friend. But again, until they do, I hope they keep cooking in their son's honor so that they can nourish their bodies to continue to fight to get the answers that they deserve. It was truly an honor making this meal today, and it came out way better than I expected. And I'm grateful that I was able to, for just a moment, share in the honor and the preserving of culture of these young men. That's why they went to Ayotzinapa, to become future educators and to preserve their culture. And I hope that making this mole was a really great way to embrace such a rich culture while honoring their memory. Thanks for joining me today. Next time on Culturally Curious Kitchen, we'll be traveling to South Korea, where we'll make kimchi while learning about a community that use food traditions to heal after trauma. One dish, one story, one culture at a time. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. I'll leave all the information and resources I used to gather the information about the Ayotzinapa missing students for this episode. And feel free to share this video with someone who also values cultural preservation. Until next time, keep cooking with curiosity and compassion. Peace. And this mess? Well, that's part of the tradition too.